Speaking of WWE, Tough Talk, Miz, awesome fucking show. I'm going to tell you why in just a little bit, right after I tell you about tonight's Tough Enough. Interesting episode, a very, very interesting episode. As tonight we saw Sarah Lee. She stepped up even more. You know, it kind of makes you wonder if maybe Sarah Lee was putting up some type of a front. Oh, little Miss Sarah just being all nice and quiet, and sure she isn't working the system? Because the way she's just been really letting off. If you missed tonight's episode, you missed a lot, because Sarah Lee showed a nice, gritty bitch side to herself. If I gotta be brutally honest, it kind of took me back a little bit. It was kind of like, okay, so now she's getting into the drama. She's embracing the bullshit that's going on around her. She's adapting to it, and you just couldn't help but kind of go, what the hell? And then you had the new girl that's been there for 2 weeks now. What is her name? Chelsea? Is it Chelsea? Yeah, I said it right. Chelsea. So, we see Chelsea as this week, the contestants, they had this challenge where they had to climb up on a rope. They had to jump over some tires. They had to lift a fucking tire, climb up some weird obstacle. They had to hang sideways, climbing on a rope, and they had to do all this weird shit just to reach the finish line where they ring a bell and all that. And of all the contestants, as far as who struggled, definitely Chelsea. She struggled. Amanda struggled. Amanda struggled so badly she actually didn't finish the competition. Patrick was not first. Guess who was first? Pretty boy with the Goldilocks. It was Tanner. ZZ was last. If you're keeping track at home, ZZ is pretty much always coming in last at a lot of these things. There will be another competition later on in the night where they had to combine what they had been learning in the ring over the past couple of weeks. So basically it was a series of clotheslines, body slams, something else that was in there that they had to do. And what the coaches were looking for this week was who could really deliver on performing them, and whoever the loser was, they had to do something that was like ridiculous. In this case, say something ridiculous. We actually saw Mata come out on top. For the girls, it was Gigi. And leading up to that second competition, we had learned something very critical. Goes back to the first competition. Chelsea had actually injured herself. Now it wouldn't be a serious injury as she had sprained her foot. And when they were showing the footages, it was swollen. It was really huge. And the doctor that she had went to basically said she had to take it easy. Could be a scenario where she might have been unable to do anything for up to 5 weeks. So you're kind of hearing that and you're like, wow, sister just got here. Okay, so is she gonna go home or what? What the hell's going on right here? Patrick, he was a little bit cocky on this episode, kind of following up on what's been happening with him over the past couple of weeks. He's been winning challenges and everything. He's been getting a little bit more arrogant now that he's been on the winning side. We saw him get very humbled in a big way as he ended up being in the bottom three. Your bottom three, Josh, Patrick, ZZ. And when I looked at this, and I told my girl, like, as soon as the show came on and we saw what had went down with Patrick giving the tough talk. Actually, no, I called it as soon as Patrick said at the beginning of the show, what's it like being in the bottom three? And then I said to my woman, I said, now watch, I bet you he's going to end up in the bottom three. And she goes, who you think is going to join him? I said, probably ZZ and Josh. And I told her, I said, as far as who's going to be eliminated, I said, it's probably going to be Josh, but look for a controversial move and Patrick being eliminated. That's going to be your what the fuck moment. And sure enough, I was right. Folks, you didn't watch Tough Enough tonight. Washington, D.C. native Patrick was shockingly eliminated from Tough Enough. He had about 25% of the votes. If I'm not mistaken, ZZ had, I think, 39%, and Josh had the rest. And honestly, what I picked up when I saw the results, I couldn't help but kind of go, you know what? The fans looked at how Patrick was possibly treating ZZ, and rather than look at it as tough talk, they probably, no pun intended, I said tough talk, rather than look at it as, tough talk, tough love, I think a lot of people looked at the way Patrick was talking to ZZ as, oh, he's that nice looking guy with the nice looking smile, with the nice looking fade. He's got a nice looking body and he talks so proper. He comes off like a fucking douchebag. He comes off like a fucking dick. Look at this fucking bully picking on the fat kid. That's honestly the impression that I had got. All right. And let me tell you something about ZZ, and shout out to the few people that hit me up on Twitter. And I basically said, hey, with Patrick being eliminated, what the hell? Talk about a controversial move right here. And I questioned the WWE fans that were voting, because my whole mentality is, WWE fans that's voting, are you really voting for the person that you feel is best suited for the WWE universe? Because when you look at, okay, who has a lot of potential, who has potential as far as charisma goes, as far as having some type of character, as far as being able to channel some type of a reaction, whether it's good or it's bad, just the fact that they're able to get a reaction out of you and you are talking about them. Who has that potential that in due time and with the help of the WWE, it can be magnified times infinity and beyond to a point where they're up there with a Chris Jericho. They're up there with a Miz. They're up there with a Triple H, a Undertaker, a Stone Cold Steve Austin. Now, some of them may not be able to reach that exact position, but who has the potential to be a bona fide star? And for me, Patrick, and I'm not saying this because he's a fellow DC native, although I think it's pretty fucking badass that he is, and you can best rest assured we're definitely going to try to do everything we can to get him on the show. Unlike Alex Freaky, who did his series of rounds interviewing, the one thing that kind of rubbed me off the wrong way about Alex was, and I know he said the video editing, the way things were edited, it made him come off as if he didn't care about the business and all that. But when you look at the transcripts that's out there for all the interviews that Alex has given, there really isn't much there. It's just basically, hey, I got to talk to Alex Freaky. I think a lot of these guys are just reaching out just so they could say they interviewed him. Looks good on their show resume or whatever. With Patrick, it is so fucking different. I want to talk to this young man because first and foremost, he has an appreciation for the wrestling business. You can see it. You can feel it. You can hear it from this man. I like that passion. I like that energy. I want to pick his brain. I want to talk to him about any and all things wrestling. He is probably, out of all the competitors, he is probably the one guy that comes off as if I could have a beer with somebody and just shoot the breeze talking all things wrestling. Out of this current cast, who could I talk all things wrestling with? And Patrick is one of those guys. We could talk about what we're seeing on TV. We could talk about shit that's going on behind the scenes. He comes off like one of those type of people. So for one of those reasons, why I'd like to talk to him. Another reason, he's a DC native. Another reason I'd like to talk to him is because he comes off to me as one of those types. You could talk to him about any and everything, not just wrestling related. He seems like a guy that is very well educated, that can just, whatever the topic is, he can adjust to that. So I'm definitely going to try to do my best to see if we can get this man on the show. Keep your fingers crossed. But I was very shocked at him being eliminated. I was really, really shocked. I was very heartbroken, to the point that it just really made me go, what the fuck is the point in watching the rest of this series? Because the best male competitor that could have won this has just been eliminated. And honestly, I think they were eliminated because the WWE universe doesn't know how to separate fact from fiction, especially with the way the video footage was manipulated in a way where one could make the suggestion that, hey, we kind of want for you to maybe vote this person off because of these little things right here. And look, with regards to ZZ, speaking as a person that is overweight, that has been making great strides to lose weight, and I've done phenomenally well. I think this year alone, I've probably shed off about, I would say 30 pounds. I'm not done yet, not by a long shot, and I still get people who'll send me little private messages on YouTube. They want to make their little fat jokes and all this other shit. It's like, hey, I'm 35 years old. I've got my woman. I'm happy. It's like, I don't care what you think about me, because at the end of the day, I love myself. That's all that matters, but, I've been trying to do what I can to, get fit and everything. And like I was telling my girl, I said, with regards to ZZ comes off to me as one of those type of people that is a little bit insecure, that is a little bit shy, that comes off as one of those type of people who has probably been battling with weight problems for a long time. He's an 18-year-old kid. Okay. Wouldn't surprise me to hear that he's a lot bigger than what we first saw of him when he was in Tough Enough. And I say that for a very valid reason. Stay with me. I'm making a very valid point right here. When I was a little kid, my mom would always try to make sure that I had the sensible meal, that I had my veggies. So she would always make sure that I get my carrots, I get my potatoes, my string beans, and, I get baked chicken or whatever. I always try to make sure I ate healthy. And I'd come home from school. Mommy, can I have a cookie? Okay, just one. Now go do your homework. I want another cookie. You can have another cookie after you finish your dinner. I want another cookie now. Then I get another cookie. Get done cleaning my plate. Mommy, I want your cookie. It's like, but you had a cookie when you first came in. You were supposed to have a cookie after you finish dinner. So 2 cookies total. But you asked for your cookie before you did your homework. So, you got 2 cookies. But you don't need any more. I want another cookie now. And, I'd throw my little temper tantrum, and then I'd get another cookie. So I had 3 cookies in one day. Now, when my mom wouldn't be around, hey, this is my dad. Hey, you want some cookies? Like, yeah. And I knew my dad would give me unlimited access. So I'd be kicking there with 2 handfuls of fucking cookies. Just, my dad's the one hooking up the banana pudding with the Nilla wafers and, giving me whole fucking Totino pizzas and shit. And I'm like a chubby little 6-7-year-old kid or whatever. And I'm just, nom. Probably one of the reasons why to this day, my weight kind of fluctuates the way that it does. When I was in school, I was huge. I was very huge, and I had pimples all over my face. The girls would not give me the time of day. The only time the girls wanted to have anything to do with me was when I had candy. because they knew you could come to me throughout various points during the day at school. I stay having candy. Now laters, Jawbreakers, Bazooka Joe, Cracker Jacks. I had all kinds of shit. You name it. Milk Duds. They knew they could come to me and I hook them up. And then once they got what they needed to get, they'd roll out. Wasn't attractive in the face. Ladies, it wasn't happening. So how did I make up for those insecurities? This is how it ties into ZZ. Hopefully you've been following me so far. I would make up for the way I looked by always being the joker. Always cracking the jokes, doing the wisecracks and all that. And I would always say to myself, well, maybe if I have the people laugh, whether it's at me or with me, at what I'm saying, maybe that will win me friends. Maybe that will win me people over and all that. When I look at a guy like ZZ, I'm picking up insecurity on so many levels, to the point that I think the only thing he knows how to do is to make people laugh, because he's trying to make up for his insecurities. Now, I'm sure that to a lot of wrestling fans that's out there, smart wrestling fans, they may have looked at what Patrick was doing with ZZ tonight, and they may have looked at it as, look at this GQ looking skinny motherfucker picking on the chubby kid with the insecurity issues. He's just trying to make people laugh. This guy's a dick. They could have genuinely looked at it that way and decided, you know what? ZZ's getting my vote. Josh is getting my vote. Fuck that black son of a bitch. Not that his race matters. I'm just saying, fuck that black son of a bitch. You're one of those people, if that's how you decided to vote and all that, hey, that's your right. I'm not criticizing that. But my honest opinion, and at the end of the day, that's just it, an opinion. I feel that those of you that wanted Patrick off the show and you did not give him the vote, you all made a mistake. Because the best competitor of this season is now gone. And basically what you're left with, I'm not gonna say it's shit, but there's not exactly a diamond buried under all that debris. You know what I'm saying? There really isn't. There really isn't. Be honest. There really isn't. And it's just mind-boggling. It's just really, really mind-boggling at the way the voting system is. I wish that Hulk Hogan, Paige, Daniel Bryan, I wish one of them would have used a save and save Patrick. And look, don't just take my word. Some of you may be like, oh, Lee, you're just butthurt. No. If you watched Tough Talk tonight, which brings me to The Miz, and I got a lot to say about The Miz tonight. As much time as I put on Patrick, I want to make sure we put on The Miz, but I'm still going to come back to Patrick, because Patrick, I believe his career is just getting started. I believe one day in the very near future, we will see this young man back in the WWE in some shape or form. I truly believe that in my heart of hearts. Just because the journey may end for a lot of these contestants on Tough Enough, it doesn't mean that they cannot get into the WWE another way. They can always get in with some type of a developmental contract. They can always get in that way, or they can get in as an extra security guard or some no-name hack taking on some wrestler that needs to go over. The future is always bright. Just because it ends with Tough Enough, it doesn't mean that it's over, that the road to WWE is over. There's other ways to go about getting into the business, and not just necessarily with WWE. Tough Talk, Miz tonight. I gotta be brutally honest, Miz shined big time tonight. I said it last week. I gotta make sure I reiterate it again. If you are not watching Tough Talk with Miz, you are missing out, because that is the show that really is the true highlight of the night. I know we got Renee Young, we've got Chris Jericho, look, they're decent hosts and everything like that, but the real fun is when you can turn on the WWE network and you can watch The Miz on Tough Talk, because just the way he comes off, and I would love to just be a fly on the wall, or better yet, I would love to just settle for being that fan and just going behind the scenes and what leads up to Tough Talk to really get an understanding on how Miz prepares for the show, because he makes it look so easy. He makes it look as though he's coming out there week after week after week. One, coming off very well educated on everything that's been happening with the contestants. You know, he kind of makes you feel as though when you think about, hey, Hulk Hogan, Daniel Bryan, Paige, no disrespect, but you guys are watching a 45-minute fucking clip that's been chopped up and everything, and you basically gotta pick your bottom three from that, whereas Miz legitimately comes off as if he's watched more than what the judges have just seen in those 45 minutes. He comes off very well polished. He just makes everything seem so smooth and so natural. If he's just going out there with bullet points and he's unfiltered, hey man, WWE, keep letting it ride with The Miz, because he is what makes that show worth checking out. Tonight, no exception. This season so far, I have to give The Miz props. Probably one of the best episodes of Tough Talk, because The Miz brought it. How'd he bring it? Miz questioned the judge's decision on having Patrick be in the bottom three, because as far as The Miz was concerned, Patrick showed that he could go all the way. Miz went a step further. He thought Patrick was going to be the one to win it, and he just could not understand why Patrick was in the bottom three and how he could be voted off. And the Hulkster, he tried to justify it. He basically tried to say, look, you know, this is really only the beginning of Patrick's career. He's got a very bright future ahead of him. And The Miz just wasn't buying that shit. The Miz was like, if his future's so bright, then why was he put in the bottom three? And Hogan, you know, he tried to give a lame ass answer, basically saying, hey, look, this was nothing but an experience for Patrick. It's just a learning experience. This is just one of many lessons that he's learning right now early in his career. But what's happened here tonight is just gonna set Patrick up for bigger and better things. And I love hearing Daniel Bryan be so candid. And I thought the timing of him being so candid was very smart. It was very smart in the timing, because I don't know, the USA executives, they could have taken what he had to say exclusively on the network. You know, if he would have said it on the USA network, they could have taken it rather personal, and maybe they would have pulled WWE executives to the side, and, you know, who knows? So I'm happy that Daniel Bryan said what he said exclusively on the network here, as he had choice words for ZZ. He basically said, ZZ, you've been here 5 weeks. Guys like Josh, he's lost 35 pounds since he's been here. And he pointed out a couple of other people that has lost a significant amount of weight and has shown great improvement physically. But he came as ZZ and he said, you've been here for 5 weeks. I'm not really noticing anything developing with you. You're coming out last in these challenges. You know, what's going on? And ZZ tried to defend himself and say that apparently this week he's been really cranking it up, and the other contestants are like, yeah, he really has been. And I like how the judges homed in on that. They're like, oh, so this week you've just now stepped it up. And I don't know if ZZ was holding his tummy in or what, you know, but you know, I would like to be a fly on the wall, and I would like to just see what exactly is going on when the lights are out. Is ZZ helping himself to the kitchen? Is he making a couple of midnight snacks? And I'm not saying that to make fun of the guy. Because look, anybody that knows a thing or two about these reality TV shows, if you watched The Biggest Loser, me and my girl love The Biggest Loser, right? You know how they got all these weird challenges that be going on The Biggest Loser. Like one week you could see Joe Smith, his challenge is to push a big ass tire like 5 times. No, push a tire 10 times. Joe can't even lift the tire up. This is week 1. He can't even lift the tire. But Joe stays true to the cardio workouts, the training, and by week 3, Joe's able to finally lift the tire, but he's only able to do 1 full turn. By week 5, Joe's able to get it up to 4. By week 7, Joe is able to get it up to 7. By week 12, he's finally able to get 10. By week 15, he's able to hit 15 tire flips. And all throughout the journey, throughout those weeks, he's lost a significant amount of weight. His cardio has improved tremendously, strengthening, conditioning, the whole 9 yards. So I see exactly what Daniel Bryan was talking about when he says to ZZ, I'm not seeing any improvements. I just want you guys to make sure you're marinating on that. This isn't a case where, everybody's just picking on the fat kid. No, that's not the case. It's basically, hey man, you haven't shown any type of improvements whatsoever. So I can understand why ZZ was in the bottom 3 again, but once again, I had a person that say to me, I'm glad Patrick is gone. I want ZZ to win. And I'm thinking to myself, really? Have you really stopped and think about what could probably be in ZZ's future if he were to be given a WWE contract? I promise you, the last person that WWE executives want right now is a guy like ZZ on the main roster. I promise you that's not what they're looking for. It's not. And I bet you they're kicking themselves in the ass saying, why did we give the fans all this power to vote if it is 100% legit? Because that's too much power. My girl said it best. Stone Cold Steve Austin knew how to pick them. It needs to get back to that point where you can have a Steve Austin or well-established people that have been with these contestants for X number of weeks, watching them train, interact with them, not just watch a fucking 45-minute tape and then choose a bottom 3 that way. That's stupid. That's just silly. But The Miz really went up to bat for Patrick in challenging the judge's decision on this whole elimination process. And he did a hell of a good job in putting over Patrick. He said, you have that it factor. I have no doubt in my mind. You're passionate about this business. I know you'll succeed. And I'm hoping that you continue on and that, hey, just because it ended, I feel we haven't seen the last of you. I'm hoping that we haven't seen the last of you, that you'll be back in the WWE. Miz jumped out there, even said that he feels that Patrick is better than him. That says a lot for The Miz. That you could tell genuinely that The Miz, 2 things, that The Miz was heartbroken and, sad, of course, and that he really wanted for Patrick to go all the way. I mean, he kept just putting over this guy. And, that's a rarity. That's a rarity when you see a WWE superstar, especially like The Miz, really kind of come out of the shell a little bit and really try to put somebody over. So, I like how Patrick had asked the judges because And this was the other thing that was just really and this lets me know that Patrick would have been the right person to win. You have The Miz say to all the contestants, we're about to go off the air, but everybody, now is the time. If you have a question, you want to pick the brain on any of these judges, you've got a Hall of Famer at your disposal. You have a multi-time champion, a man that's wrestled on the indies. You have Paige, who's a multi-time champion. She's wrestled, on the indies. If you guys have any question, now is the time to ask. None of them, it must have been about maybe 15 seconds. None of them jumped at the opportunity. they're just dumbfounded. They're just standing there. They remind me of fucking Ralph from fucking A Christmas Story, and Ralph has his whole lines written down as far as what he's gonna say, to Santa about getting that Red Ryder BB gun, and then when he finally gets there, he's like, and that's how all the contestants were. Miz goes, Patrick, you got anything you want to ask them, man? Now's the time. And Patrick asks what any person would ask when you've been eliminated. What's next? What do I do next? And I love how Miz just let loose. He said, I'll tell you exactly what's next. I can answer that. The contacts that you were able to make while you've been here, you get in contact with them. You get yourself to some type of a developmental territory, even if it's here at the WWE Performance Center. You get yourself some seasoned experience. Maybe you do a couple of indie shows. I love that. I mean, Miz shined big time tonight in such a way that it just, and my girl knows how much of a big fan of the Miz I was back in the day, right on up through his ride to the WWE Championship. That was like one of the most, yes, at one point in time, folks, Miz had the WWE Universe in the palm of his hands. I don't know if it was a situation where the Miz got too much way too soon, and the cockiness and the arrogance had came as a result, and WWE decided, you know what, man, not right now. And he's pretty much been a utility worker ever since. If you're not familiar with that term, a utility worker is basically somebody who, hey, we got these series of interviews that need to be done as WWE is going to this city on blah, blah, blah. Interviews begin at 3 a.m. and it's going on until 8 o'clock at night. Miz is the man. Miz can only get like 2 hours of sleep, but he's the fucking man. He's gonna do it. We need somebody to go overseas for this blah, blah, blah tour. Miz is the one to jump up. He goes and he does it. We got this new movie that's getting ready to come out. We're not really sure. Miz jumps at the opportunity to get the screen tests, and eventually he gets the role. He's made the man. That is the utility worker definition, a gopher, if you will, always willing to take one for the team. That's one of the best people you would want if you're an employer. You want one of those type of employees that you know you can always depend upon no matter what the circumstances are. You know the shit's gonna get done. You can trust this person with the task to do it. And over the years, Miz has proven that he is that go-to guy. All right. And with what went down tonight, Miz shined in such a way that I promise you, anybody that has ever had any type of negative hate, bitterness towards the Miz, after you watch how much he tried to go to bat for Patrick on Tough Talk tonight, and then how he also took a shot at Chelsea, saying, hey, your leg was sore. What the hell, you know, why didn't you do the challenges? Why didn't you try to do something? And she's like, oh, well, I did something this one day, but then when it came to what you guys saw, I was basically asked if I was hurt or injured, and the judges are like, yeah, but when you told them you were hurt and they said, well, you could sit it out, it's not like you fought. It's not like you didn't even try to do the exercises. You just grabbed a seat and just looked pitiful. And I like how the Miz just homed in on her and said, you know, it's understandable if you're hurt or injured, but you got to be willing to do any and everything possible to become a WWE star. And I like how Miz just really brought it home that so many people would basically have killed for the position that she was in. And whether she had to fucking hop around on one leg doing fucking exercises or whatever, she should have done something, basically shown that passion, shown that desire, show that fire that she wants to be there, that X amount of people did not waste their time in reaching out to her. 10,000 videos submitted to the WWE, and we have this person, I'm on my leg and I can't. Miz fucking squashed that shit. Paige fucking squashed that shit. She talked about how she got hit by a fucking car on Christmas Eve, and she still went that same day and wrestled some fucking match. Now that might be a bit insane for some of you people that's out there, you know, but I mean, you do gotta kinda learn, like, okay, am I hurt or am I injured? And there's a big difference. You know, if you're hurt, then obviously you can still do what needs to be done. You're just gonna have to improvise and make up a certain way. If you're injured, then obviously, yeah, you have no business doing any and everything. You may risk paralysis or worse. Fuck it. You know what I'm saying, guys? But Miz shined so bright tonight on this episode of Tough Talk. It just really makes me go, is it even possible? And I think it is after I watched tonight's episode. I think the wrong guy in the company that is the WWE champion right now, and Seth Rollins. Yeah, I think Miz. After tonight, I think Miz has definitely, if not tonight, I would hope definitely in the very near future, I think WWE creative and booking, they need to take a second look at the Miz and seriously reconsider this whole face of the WWE and all that, because this guy has more charisma, more promo ability, any and above, to the point that maybe it should actually be him as the WWE champion right now. And I mean, quite honestly, if somewhere down the road WWE is going to entertain the thought of turning Seth Rollins into a babyface, then maybe as far as having there be that like ultimate heel, maybe they should consider the Miz. I think he's definitely earn the rights of being given another opportunity. I'd love to hear you guys sound off. Hit us up all throughout social media, man. Love to hear from you guys. Again, all throughout social media at the RCWR Show on Twitter, Facebook, Infinity One Productions.